Another profit craft would be gloves for spark. However, this is not a craft that I recommend most beginners to attempt because most of the time you are going to barely break even. The thing with this craft, you need to craft lots of gloves, and sometimes you're just simply going to hit big, and when you hit big you're going to make like 5 divs profit per one pair of gloves, 15 divs profit per one pair of gloves, and if you get super lucky you're going to make like 70, 80, 100 divs profit for one pair of gloves. But as I said, most of the time when you are doing this craft, you craft for 1 hour, and if you don't get lucky, you are just barely going to break even. So it's not, just be very careful with this craft because it's also very expensive. You're going to burn like 50, 60 divines per hour crafting this, and it may not work for many of you. But as I said, when you hit big, you really hit big with this craft. So to craft gloves for spark, you need fingerless silk gloves with shaper or elder influence. But here's the issue. If you look on the market, they are too expensive. If you look at fingerless silk gloves with either shaper or elder influence and item level 84, they are too expensive. You pay like 1 div for one base like this. What you should do instead, let me see where I have it. So here you can buy fingerless silk gloves, item level 84 only. If you go to item level 85, it will add another modifiers. Now, if you want, you can search for base percentile here, for this base percentile to be 100, and basically what it means, the energy shield would be maximum. Let's show you. So look at my Vol Regalia, under quality, that energy shield, it says 197, that's the max roll. Now this doesn't really make much of a difference. If you can get them for like 5 to 10 kills, then just buy with 100% with 100 percentile. But if not, just buy whatever, like any pair of gloves for like 5 kills. If these are too expensive, like even with 90 you pay like 20 kills. This is bullshit. It's very important that you only want level 84. You don't want lower, you don't want higher. Here's how you craft these gloves. So you just buy a pair of gloves, item level 84, simple like this. And then what you do, you're going to buy a Conqueror Exalted Orb, such as Crusader or Warlord. These are usually the cheapest one. Redeemer and Hunter are usually more expensive. So you're going to pay like 5 kills for the gloves, 70 kills for the Crusader's Exalted Orb. And then you take that pair of gloves here.
Oh, go on.
With to harvest, and you would randomize influence. Randomize the influence types on an influence. So basically, you have your fingerless silk gloves with Crusader or Warlord influence on them, and then you go to this, and you are going to reroll the influence until you get either Elder or Shaper. It doesn't matter which one. So it's a 2 in 5 chance to get Shaper or Elder, and that will make this craft much cheaper. And so instead of actually paying 1 div for such a pair of gloves, you just get it that way. And then what you do, you just buy a random pair of gloves with either Shaper or Elder. For example, if your fingerless silk gloves have Elder influence, then you're going to buy Shaper influence. And then you're any non-unique, and obviously not corrupted, and then you just awaken. You basically right click on this pair of gloves with the Awakener's Orb, and then click on the fingerless silk gloves. Just read what an Awakener Orb does. So you can see that for 1 div almost, you already have a pair of gloves that has both shaper and elder. And if you look at one with both of them, you are going to pay like 1 div. So every 2.5k blue seeds or something like that, you're going to get the elder or shaper influenced, and then the awakener. It's quite easy to do. And then you basically want to have a pair of fingerless silk gloves with shaper or elder influence on them. And now we go to Craft of Exile. '84. So add the influence shaper, elder. Here are the modifiers that you usually want on a pair of gloves like for Spark. So you want faster projectiles, faster casting, and crit multi. And from time to time, if you get lucky, you're going to get slower projectiles, but I'm going to talk about that later. To obtain these socketed gems have % critical strike chance, you are going to need an essence, and you can see that it's this essence right here, horror, essence of horror. Now let's go to the trade website. So I want to show you something. If you go to buy essences, essence of horror, and you try to buy it for divines, you can see that you pay, these are price fixers, so you pay 1 div for 9 of these essences. There's something you can do. You can go to the bottom here and you select these 4 essences. Essence of Delirium, Horror, Insanity, and Hysteria. And you press search. And you can see that you can get a bunch of them for, you are going to get a bunch of essences, 12 for 1 div. You buy them, and let's see if I can show you. Change. Yeah, I don't have, actually I have for 2. I'll just do 1. So it's this modifier right here on the harvest. It changes stack of essences into a different stack. Into a different stack of essences. Basically, it's a 1 in 3 to give you horror. And it only costs 30 blue. So basically you pay 90 blue seeds to get an essence of horror. Let's see, I got Delirium. Let's try with another one. I got Delirium again. Now I don't have any more blue seeds, but you get the idea. This is how you get essences of horror for much cheaper. Because instead of, you're just basically going to make like 30-40 kills doing it this way. For just a few clicks. Now, let's talk about the mods that you want on this pair of gloves. As I said, it's going to be 1 from Essence of Horror. And from the Shaper, you're going to want socketed spells have crit multi. And faster casting. Let's see what's the chance of hitting it with essences. Essence of Horror. To hit them, it's nearly impossible with these essences. But so to hit both of them is nearly impossible. To hit only one of them, it's a 1 in 17. Now, please pay attention to the tags here. This faster casting has the tag of caster speed gem. This has caster critical and gem. So if I right click on this, where is it? If I right click on faster cast speed after selecting fractured here, you will see that this faster cast speed, if this is present, these other modifiers cannot be present, such as faster attacks and increased attack speed, cast speed. If either one of these is present, you cannot get socketed gems are supported by level 16 faster cast speed. And if you have faster cast speed, you cannot get any of these. Increase attack speed, cast speed, and so here's why this is important. Let's just say that my pair of gloves has the socketed gems have crit chance and faster casting. What I could do, I could just go to the harvest. I can just lock the suffixes. I could just craft suffixes cannot be changed, and then I could use a harvest reforge from here. And let's look at the tags that these socketed spells have crit multi. What's the tag? So you can see that it's going to be caster, critical, but critical, I think there are others. Let's see. Critical. If I do reforge critical, it's also going to give me these socketed attacks. But if I reforge caster, you can see that there are many caster tags for gloves, but this cannot appear because I already have faster casting. So this right here cannot appear, and this I already have it. And the only caster mode that is going to give me, it's going to give socketed spells have % increased critical strike multiplier. I will show some examples in the emulator, but I want to talk about this first. But let's just say that you don't get faster casting with the Essence of Horror, and you get socketed spells have 30% crit multi. Now, how do you get this faster casting? If you reforge caster, it's going to be a 50-50 chance, so I don't think this is worth doing. Maybe it is worth doing to lock suffixes, reforge caster, and hope for a 50-50 if you have 70% crit strike multiplier. But other than that, I would not reforge speed to get faster casting, because it's a 50-50 and you also pay 2 divs for the full meta mode, because you cannot use Wild Bristol Matron. And at this point, what I would personally do, I would just go and craft, I would just add faster projectiles, because it's guaranteed. I'm going to show you speed. So if I reforge speed, suffixes cannot be changed, and I have full suffixes, let's see. So it's going to give me these socketed gems are supported by faster projectiles, because this is the only prefix with speed. But you have to have the suffixes full, because then it's going to give you faster attacks, faster cast speed, and advanced traps. Like this. Now let's go over the crafting process, because maybe it was confusing for many of you. Create new items. So this is my pair of gloves. I don't care of the awakened mods, because it doesn't matter. I'm just going to spam essences. And for those of you, for those of you that used to do this with essences, it can work, but the problem with essences, especially at this point into the league, they are too expensive. For some reason, essences were too expensive. Let me show you. So if I go to fossils, fossils are too expensive. So this is why you do it with essences. Now, usually people would spam glyphic, shattering, and etheric. And you can see that if I want to get faster casting, so I want to get faster casting with these essences. Any tire, the lowest tire, it's going to be 1 in 2, but also it's going to give me 1 random essence mode, and there are 4 essence modes that it can give me. So it's a 1 in 8, And then glyphic fossil, it's very expensive. It's like 130, right? And let's see if I also want to go for socketed spells have crit multi. I don't think this makes a difference, so it doesn't really make a difference. It's a 1 in 2, so you would spend at least 8. Let's just say that you spend like shattering are quite expensive. They're usually like 10C. Let's just say that you spend like 18C for etheric, resonator, and shattering, plus 130. Oh no, 18 plus 130 times 8 divided by 230. You're looking at 5 divs to get faster casting with socketed spells. Socketed spells have 3% crit chance, and this is too expensive, as you're not going to make profit doing it this way. If glyphic fossils are cheap, like 50 kills or 40 kills, then you should give a try to this method. But at least in this league, it's not worth doing it with glyphic fossils. So you're better off spamming essences of horror. So you just spam essences of horror until you hit, as I said, faster casting or socketed spells have crit multi. And this right here, this is what I would do with a pair of gloves that looks like this. I would just craft suffixes cannot be changed from the bench. You'd pay 2 divines, but then I would go and reforge with harvest. Reforge speed it was, and it's guaranteed to give me faster projectiles. Now from time to time it can give me something bad like 3 prefixes, and there's pretty much nothing you can do. At this point I would look to block something, which is usually going to be maximum mana. So I'm just gonna craft mana. I would exalt whatever it gives me, that is, and then I would just craft +1 projectiles. And now, because it has only 30%, I mean, oh my god, I made a mistake. So not socketed attacks, I didn't pay attention. Socketed spells have crit multi, like this. 30% crit multi doesn't really sell. What I would do at this point with a pair of gloves that looks like this, I'll go to a trade website and I would search Krejcik Vassal for this beast. I would go to the bestiary, show you real quick. And this is Krejcik Vassal. It corrupt an item to have 30% quality. Obviously make the links before that, but you want to corrupt the item because then you are going to apply a Tainted Divine Teardrop. Tainted Divine. Now these are too expensive right now, but if you do this craft at League Start, they are going to be like 150 kills or something like that in the first few days. Obviously at 2 divines I would not do it, it's too expensive, but at League Start, in League Start scenario, I would just pay like 150 kills, 140 for a Tainted Divine Teardrop. And basically what that does, it can either improve the modifiers of my item, or it can lower them, or just keep them the same, but it cannot delete them. So these socketed spells have 30% crit strike multi, it cannot delete it, and it's going to upgrade it. It's either going to upgrade it or leave it the same. And if it makes it 50%, or let's just say you have it already at 50% and you get it to 70%, then a pair of gloves with 70% will sell for much more. If it's already at 50%, you can just leave it at that and try to sell it. Let's just say, wait. So at 50%, you can try to sell it for like 4 divs. So this would you don't want to go any further with the craft if it has already 50% crit multi. But if it has only 30, then you apply the Tainted Divine Teardrop, you corrupt it and apply the Tainted Divine Teardrop, and there's a high chance it's going to make it 50%, and then you can sell it. Now let's go back to essence spamming, give more examples. So I spam essences. So 1 in 18 to give me faster casting. Like this, it gave me faster casting. It's guaranteed if I remove the fire resistance, it's guaranteed to get socketed spells have crit multi, but I'm not going to annul this. What I'm going to do with a pair of gloves that looks like this, just use Wild Bristol Matron. This piece right here, obviously, as I said at leak start, these are quite cheap and the profit margins are much higher. Wild Bristol Matron, add a meta modifier. Basically, if you have one open prefix, it will add suffixes can be changed. And then I would just go to harvest, reforge speed, like this, craft projectiles, where +1 projectiles, and sell it for like 4 to 5 divs. Rinse and repeat. Now, let's just say you spam essences of horror, and from time to time, you are going to end up with an item that looks like this. It has one open suffix. What do? At this point, you go to the crafting bench. Craft suffixes cannot be changed. You pay 2 divs. Then you go to harvest and you are going to reforge caster. It's guaranteed to give you 30% socket that spells have crit multi. Now there is a chance that it gives you full prefixes and there's nothing you can do, just annul at that point or try to sell it as it is, maybe for like 3 divs to cover your expenses, to recover some of your expenses. But most of the time it's not going to give you 3 full prefixes. So now you go Wild Bristol Matron, suffixes cannot be changed. The same step, reforge speed, faster projectiles. Once again, you are going to craft mana. Where is it? Craft mana and exalt. Whatever it gives you, that's what you take. And then you're just going to craft projectiles. +1 projectile. And if this crit multi, it's tier 1, then you are going to have a pair of gloves like this will not sell for much. Let's show you. Where is so here? Projectiles. Let's see. The cheapest one, what would be? This would be like 5 divs. 6 divs. So you can see that they don't sell for much more with 30% crit multi. People want like a 70 crit multi or so. And if you look at one with 70, the cheapest would be like 8 divs. Already they are more expensive, 10 divs. And if you also have like 20 faster casting, these are going to be like 22 divs, 24 divs, 25. And people are going to pay a lot for getting to level 20 faster casting and crit multi. So what you do at this point, you corrupt them once again and then use the Krachik Vassal. Obviously, if it's at this point into the league, they are too expensive, but I'm talking about league start because this league it's almost it's already over, right? But at league start, you buy those tainted teardrops for so cheap, and you basically just spam a few of them, like 5 or 6, maybe even 2 if you get really lucky. and you upgrade your faster casting and socketed spells have crit multi, at least to level 18 and 50%. And if you really get lucky and get both of them to level 20, then you just made like 20 divs profit, 20 divs, 20 to 25 divs pair of gloves. Now, what can happen during this crafting process when you reforge or when you exalt? You can also get socketed spells, socketed gems, slow projectiles. This right here. And look at them. So a pair of gloves with these modifiers sells for a lot. Now, if this one right here had one open prefix so that you can craft +1 proj, they'll sell for much more. Please look at this pair of gloves. You pay 52 divs for one pair of gloves like this. You corrupt it and spam a few tainted divine teardrops, and let's just say that it has 70 crit multi and 7 level 20 faster casting. You can see that the cheapest is 115. So this is how you make big money with these gloves. At league start, you are not going to sell them for 115 divs, more like 80 to 90 divs. I had this league, I wanted to sell them for like 120, but I ended up selling them for 80 and 75 divs because nobody was actually willing to pay that much, especially in the first few days. Who the hell has 120 divs to buy a pair of gloves? So eventually I had to sell them because it was already like 5 days. It was listed for 5 days and nobody was messaging me. So I had to settle for less. But this is why I said, from time to time, either on the exalt or when you're doing the reforge, you're going to get slower projectiles. And when you get that, you just win big. Now, you could just buy them and basically just flip the gloves with Tainted Divine Teardrop. But do you have like 40 to 50 divines? Because you pay like 30, 40 for a pair of gloves, maybe even 50. And then you also are going to spend like 10, 15 divs to get them to 20. Sometimes you're going to get them with like 2 or 3 Tainted Divine Teardrops, especially at league start when they are super cheap. So the investment is not going to be huge. But still, if you're going to buy these bases, you're going to sell them it's going to take a lot to sell them if you want to flip them. And also you're going to spend some currency on the Tainted Divine Teardrops. So this is basically how you craft Spark gloves. I know it's been a long video. As I said, probably you should not try this craft because it's hit or miss. If you don't hit big, you're pretty much not making any profit. And don't try to annul when you have faster casting with a third bad suffix, because you just want to recover some of the investment. From time to time it's going to happen that you have an open suffix, and that's when you actually win. But don't try to annul because it's a 33% chance to remove the right suffix, which is highly unlikely, and you'd much rather just recover some of your cost and just craft again.